Oh my goodness, guys. I'm back to recording videos in the closet. I can't even afford to record videos in the kitchen anymore. So now I'm stuck recording videos in the closet. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to talk, okay? IRS just took all my dang money, and I definitely saw some comments on the previous video when I kind of released this information. People are like, well, what stocks are you going to sell, to pay the IRS and things like that. And so I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to avoid having to sell stocks essentially here. I want to kind of explain this in detail so you guys can kind of understand, coming from my standpoint, the type of move I would make here and why I would do this. We're going to run percentages on it and everything like that. Also, in this video, we're going to go through the public account, okay? I'm going to show you the public account, and we'll talk about if I didn't have this option that I'm going to explain to you in just a minute. If I didn't have this option and I was forced to sell some stocks, what stock or stocks would I sell if I had no other choice than to sell stocks in this situation? So yeah, I think we'll definitely bring out some value and make some light of this whole IRS situation. I already paid them in six figures in 2020, and now I just had to pay them in a fortune more. But it is what it is. A tax man, they always are coming for your money. There's usually two people. People are divided on taxes. You got the group of people that says, shut up, pay your taxes. Don't, you should have to pay those taxes. No one, cares, cry me a river or whatever. Then you got the other folks that say taxation is theft and, it's a bunch of crap that, the government gets to take so much money. So, I'm not here to play sides or anything like that, man, but you definitely have, two sides of camp there. And I saw it in the comments, some people are like, that's ridiculous that the IRS takes that much money from you. Other folks are like, you deserve to pay that much. Don't even, cry about it. And I have respect for both sides, man. I understand. It really depends on, I'm somebody that I grew up in poverty. I grew up on food stamps, those sorts of things in my early childhood. Then, my parents, we made it to the middle class. And then, I moved out. I was in the middle class. I got rich. And so I've seen it all. I've seen poverty, at the lowest levels, at least in the United States. I've seen the middle class. I've been in that. And obviously, nowadays I'm wealthy and whatnot. So I've seen the whole gamut. I know what it's about. And I understand people having different frames of mind. Some people, feel a certain way this way. Some people feel a certain way that way. And I can understand both things. I've been there. I've seen it all. So it is what it is, man. It's a part of life, as they say. Okay. So yeah, this is the screenshot. So it's actually over 900,000 they took, 690,000 there, and then another 225,000 there. So yeah, man. All I think about when I see that money is I'm just like, dang, I would love to just invest that money. That's what I would love to do. Okay. That's all I think. So how am I going to avoid basically having to sell stocks in this situation? Okay. So remember, I told you guys, I always plot things out, making chess moves. Okay. Remember, I told you guys I called Fidelity Investments and, negotiated with them essentially a 1.55% margin interest rate. Remember that? So essentially what I'm going to do in the short term, so I don't have to sell any stocks or anything like that, and I don't have to necessarily, make myself cash poor, because, I always like to keep some cash around for a rainy day. And I also have, commitments. I have a big team behind me. I got a new company I'm starting with a whole team over there. So I never want to be in a position where I'm cash poor and I got no cash around. But I don't want to also sell any stocks. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the short term, margin at 1.55% on the 900K or so, okay? Here's how the numbers work out. We'll work out the numbers, and then we'll get into, if I was to sell some stocks, what stocks would I sell in this situation, okay? So let's work out some numbers here. So let's say, what was that number? I don't know if it was 910,000. We'll just say 900,000. It was more than 900,000. Got to pay in here. And, over the next year, and I got to pay in a 1.55% rate there to Fidelity. So let's see what this calculates at. So essentially, I'm going to have to pay Fidelity Investments likely $13,950, roughly. Let's call it $14,000 over the course of next year, having the money on margin rather than having to sell stocks, right? And obviously I can bring down that margin rate throughout the year, deposit money into my main private account. So, eventually, the margin gets eaten away and things like that. But, almost $14,000 in interest, you might say, well, that's a lot of money, man. Well, it's like the lesser of two evils, right? So let's assume I can get just 8%, right? Because here's the thing, if I'm forced to sell stocks, if I have to sell stocks, right, then I can't get the gains on those stocks. So let's say I have to sell Tattooed Chef or Corsair Gaming or Walgreens or these other stocks, Dropbox, these other stocks I'm excited about over the coming years, Facebook, so on and so forth, the Planet. Okay, then I can't get any gains on those, right? Now let's just say I get 8%. That would be pretty bad for me. But 8%, what is that? $72,000. So I have to pay $14,000 in, but I get $72,000 out. That's at 8%. Like 8% would be really, really bad for me. It's always possible. I could always get 8%. I could always get a negative number if we had some sort of stock market crash and it just didn't recover or something like that. Like there's always, different scenarios that could play out, right? I always aim for 20 to 40% a year. Sometimes I have better years. Last year was a triple digit year for us as far as gains, but that's a fluke year. We're not always going to have triple digit gains, right? So I always aim for 20 to 40% a year. So let's say we get 20% over the next year, calculating. So yeah, we're at $1,080,000. Whew, it kind of makes sense to margin out this money in the short term rather than sell these stocks. Never mind, we get, a 40% gain on that. We're at 1.2 mil, 1.2, and $60,000. So this is why I would much, much rather margin the money in the short term at 1.55% and pay that $14,000 in margin interest and have all these stocks that I think are going to be huge winners over the coming years rather than have to part with those stocks. And also, if I have any gains on stocks I sell, then I have more tax liability. That's another factor we've got to think about here. If I sell stocks that have gains, I'm going to have to pay a ton more taxes in next year, especially if it's short-term gains, right? Which, let's say, for instance, I was going to sell out of some Walgreens, right? The Walgreens position in the my main private account, right? First off, I think Walgreens is going to 80 plus over the next few years, and right now it's in the 50s, all right? So Walgreens in the main private account, that's over $1 million position. So let's say I just cashed out of that so I could pay these taxes, and that was that, right? Walgreens pays me like a 4% dividend yield or so on the shares I bought. I think it might even be above that, 4% or so. And then I can also get likely share appreciation on Walgreens shares over time, right? So does it make more sense to, margin at 1.55% or, sell Walgreens shares? That's just kind of a good example there, okay? Now, I want to do something fun here. We're going to pull up the public count, and we're going to talk about if I didn't have this option to margin money or something like that, what would I sell in the public count? So what we're looking at here, this is a public count. Everybody in the private stock group can see every single move I ever make in this account, every single buy order, sell order. This is an account I have in there. I also have a dividends only account in there with only dividend stocks. And I'm thinking about starting an options only account in the private group where everybody in the private group can see every single options move I make. If you're in the private group, by the way, let me know in the stock chat in the private Discord chat if you think that's a good idea. I'm thinking about that would be an interesting idea to have an account that's only options, only option moves out there. And by the way, if you're looking to join us in the private group, there'll be pinned comment down there. So if I look at these positions, what I would first think about is what are the non-negotiable stocks that I'm for sure not selling in the public account here, all right? And the public account is my second biggest stock market account. The main private account is by far the biggest, and this one's now the second biggest. We started this one about 3.5 years ago or so, and we've built it, pretty successfully. And so now it's the second biggest account. Oh man. So non-negotiables here would be Tattooed Chef. There's no way I'm cashing out of that. Tesla Maestra. No flipping flapjacking way they're taking my Tesla shares from me. Not selling my Tesla. That's a non-negotiable. So those two right there are non-negotiables. Oh man, this is tough here. The Planet, a non-negotiable. No way they're taking my Planet. GGTTF, non-negotiable. The main amount of GGTTF, by the way, I own in the my main private account. Same thing with the Planet. Those are pretty good size positions in that account. No way they're taking those two stocks from me. No way they're taking my FB from me. That's a non-negotiable. No way. Dropbox, I think, has tremendous short-term and long-term upside. I think that stock's going to probably $60 plus over the next few years. No way they're taking my Dropbox from me. Corsair Gaming, no way, Jose, you're not taking that money from me. So I would definitely keep Corsair Gaming, okay? So from there, I think about, okay, so those are the non-negotiables. We can't even, no way we're selling those. So then I would say, man, I also kind of put Walgreens in that class. The main amount of Walgreens shares I have in my main private account, but I don't want them taking my Walgreens. Upwork has pretty big long-term upside still, even though it's climbed a lot. That's just a company in front of a massive wave of freelance work and whatnot. Skyworks Solutions, 5G is just starting to take off over the past year. Never mind, 5G is a multi-year play. I don't want to sell Skyworks. Plus, it pays me great dividends. Revolve, great management team there. So far, we're looking at Revolve. I mean, it's made us good money. I really don't want to sell Revolve. Elf on a Shelf. You know what it is with Elf on a Shelf? I would hate to sell all my shares in Elf on the Shelf and they end up becoming a cosmetics giant, which I think has the potential. Keep in mind, a company like Estee Lauder, and keep in mind, like Elf might never become Estee Lauder, but Estee Lauder EL stock, right? That's $100 billion plus market cap. Elf on a Shelf is $1 billion. So I don't want to sell Elf on a Shelf. I mean, if they could 10x to 10 billion, and it's like there's still a little guy in the cosmetics industry. So I would hate to cash out that one. Cruisy doozy. All right. So Cruise has phenomenal growth short term. The one thing I don't like about Cruise stock is how dependent they are on Apple. They get, what is it? They probably get 80% plus of their revenues and profits from Apple. Okay. So for that reason, I could see maybe potentially selling Cruisy doozy. I mean, I don't want to, but potentially a Cruisy doozy. Beyond Meat. I mean, if I was to have to be forced to sell another stock, I'd probably sell Beyond Meat. I like Beyond Meat. I like it a lot. But let me be very clear. I love Tattooed Chef. I like Beyond Meat. I love Tattooed Chef. This is a whole different level of upside potential, in my opinion, with actually lower risk, believe it or not, because of the valuation than Beyond Meat. A lot of folks, that are thinking about plant-based companies, big funds and whatnot, they invest in Beyond Meat first and foremost because that's the name that comes to mind. Tattooed Chef is on the come up in a massive way, and I think over the next few years, every big fund manager is going to flock to Tattooed Chef stock like it's nobody's business, okay? Still kind of an under-the-radar stock. They just went public in the past year. Not nearly as famous as Beyond Meat, but believe me, over the next 2-3 years, I think every big hedge fund's going to want to be in this stock. I think this is going to become one of the hottest plays in the whole entire stock market, believe it or not, over the next few years. Beyond Meat, I don't want to say it's played out, but when it comes to Beyond Meat, it's got good upside potential, but it's got a lofty valuation. So if I'm going to have to cash, this is a tough decision, man. It's so tough to make sell decisions on stocks. But if I'm going to have to cash and you are forcing me to sell some stocks in this account, I'd probably cash Cruisy Doozy, although I love that one. I would probably have to cash in. And Beyond Meat, I really like that one a lot. But if I was forced to, I would probably cash those two and keep the rest. But some of these stocks are just non-negotiable. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, if you don't mind, smash the thumbs up. That helps our little YouTube channel out in a massive way. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here as always. And we always need the help, man, especially when the IRS is taking all our dang money. No fun. Anyways, guys, much love as always. If you're looking to join us in the private stock group, that will be linked in the description. Also, pinned comment down there. Much love and peace.